Chapter 1, The Strange Aroma. It was a quiet Sunday morning, and the smell of coffee drifted through the air. My wife, Clara, had always been the one to kick off the day with an early brew, but today felt different. As she handed me the steaming mug, her smile seemed overly sweet, almost rehearsed. "Made you a special coffee, honey?" Clara said, her tone chipper. "Thanks," I replied, eyeing the mug with hesitation. The smell wasn't the usual comforting bitterness of coffee. It was strange, chemical, and sharp enough to make me second-guess taking a sip. Across the table, my sister-in-law, Vanessa, was seated, her usual spot where she could watch and comment on everything I did. Vanessa had always been critical of me, going out of her way to belittle me during family gatherings. As Clara turned her back, I made a split-second decision. Quietly, I slid my mug across the table toward Vanessa, swapping it with hers. She didn't notice the exchange, preoccupied with her phone. Chapter 2. A brewing storm. Vanessa took a sip from the mug, scrunching her nose briefly but then shrugging it off. I watched closely, curious about what Clara had meant by special coffee. Was it some sort of prank, or was there something more sinister at play? 30 minutes later, the answer revealed itself. Vanessa began fidgeting in her chair, her face growing pale. "I don't feel so good," she muttered, clutching her stomach. Clara's expression shifted as she realized something was off. Her eyes darted to the mugs on the table and then to me. "What's wrong, Vanessa?" Clara asked, her voice tense. Vanessa groaned, stumbling toward the bathroom as she muttered something about nausea. Chapter 3. Clara's panic. Clara turned to me, her face a mix of anger and panic. "What did you do?" she demanded. I raised an eyebrow, feigning innocence. "Nothing. Why are you so worried?" Her expression darkened, and I saw the wheels turning in her mind. She realized the mugs had been swapped, and her plan, whatever it had been, had gone horribly wrong. "Was there something special about the coffee, Clara?" I asked, my tone sharp. She didn't answer immediately, but her hands trembled as she collected the mugs from the table. Chapter 4. Small clues, big questions. The strange incident lingered in my mind long after Vanessa stumbled to the bathroom. Clara's unusually sweet demeanor, the chemical-like smell, and her reaction when the mugs were swapped didn't add up. My instincts screamed that something wasn't right. Later that night, while Clara was asleep, I checked the kitchen for any trace of what she might have used in the coffee. The cabinets held the usual sugar, spices, and instant coffee granules. Nothing seemed out of place. But then, tucked behind a box of tea bags, I found a small, unlabeled bottle. It was almost empty, with a faint but familiar smell that matched the coffee's strange aroma. The bottle was enough to make me uneasy, but it wasn't proof of anything malicious yet. The next morning, I resolved to dig deeper. Chapter 5. Uncovering Clara's intentions. Determined to get answers, I carefully began observing Clara's behavior over the next few days. She acted normal, too normal, as though the incident at the dinner table hadn't happened at all. But her conversations with Vanessa hinted at something brewing behind the scenes. I overheard them talking in hushed tones, words like "just a mistake" and "no one will know" floating through the air. Vanessa seemed angry, blaming Clara for her discomfort after the coffee. Clara, in turn, seemed desperate to calm her down, insisting it wasn't her fault. It wasn't until I overheard a call between Clara and someone I didn't recognize that the pieces began falling into place. She mentioned testing something out and seeing how it worked. My stomach churned. Chapter 6. A confrontation of truth. I waited until Clara left the house one afternoon, then looked through her laptop for answers. It didn't take long to uncover a trail of searches and messages related to the strange bottle. Recipes for behavior modification drinks and discussions about calming difficult personalities painted a disturbing picture. Clara hadn't intended harm, but she had tried to manipulate me, and Vanessa, with whatever was in that bottle. That evening, I confronted her. "Clara," I said, placing the bottle and printouts from her laptop searches on the dining table. "Care to explain?" Her face went pale. She stammered, trying to come up with an excuse, but the weight of evidence was undeniable. "It was supposed to help," she said, finally breaking. "I thought it would calm you down, make you easier to deal with." Her words hit me like a slap. "You thought spiking my coffee was a solution. Do you have any idea how dangerous this is?" She tried to defend herself, blaming her frustrations and Vanessa's influence, but I couldn't listen anymore. Chapter 7. Vanessa's role later. As I processed everything, I realized Vanessa's involvement was deeper than I'd thought. She had egged Clara on, pushing her to take drastic measures under the guise of fixing our family dynamics. Clara may have carried out the plan, but Vanessa's manipulation had fueled the fire. Chapter 8. Moving forward, the revelation changed everything. I couldn't see Clara or Vanessa the same way again. It wasn't just about the coffee, it was about trust, respect, and the lengths they were willing to go to control others. In the days that followed, I made the difficult decision to distance myself from both of them. I focused on rebuilding my life, free from their toxic influence.